All right, welcome back to the Road Home from Wrestling interview. My name's Andy. I'm coming to you live to tape, and today my guest. It's interesting. You get a lot of guests on these shows. Some of them have a certain word basically describes them, and this is the outlandish Zicky Dice. How you doing, Zicky?
Doing well, doing well. Now you can say that your show is forever outlandish. I have blessed your show, so thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
That's awesome. And, we're going to get into why you may not be doing so well today a little bit. Yeah. But, you had a big weekend. A lot of crazy shit went down, but we'll get into that. But I just want to let the folks know, when did you realize, when did a young Zicky Dice, he's beating up people on the schoolyard and stuff like that, when did you realize you were outlandish?
Oh, man, at a very young age. There was once, I think the first instance when I realized I was outlandish is I got, okay, maybe we won't say that story. At a very young age, I have always put my teachers through hell. I am a middle child. So I have two older brother, older sister, little brother, little sister. And my mom will tell you, I think she knew right from the get-go.
No kidding. Well, I was trying to figure out what that word means, but every dictionary I looked it up in, it just had a picture of you, and if you click on the link, it just went to your big cartel page. So
yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, what does it mean to you?
Well, it means larger than life. I want to be stand out. I'm an outlandish person, by the way I dress, walk, talk, you name it. There's no one like Zicky Dice. I'm one of a kind. So, and I'm here to show the world that now.
I can't imagine what it's like for your neighbors, for example. Just seeing you being so fucking cool, walking in and out of your place and stuff like that. And they got to be jealous. I mean, isn't the world just jealous of Zicky Dice?
Yeah, my neighbor hates me. Actually, she's afraid of dogs, and my dog Ric Flair spooks her. He's actually really nice and loving. She sucks. So if she's listening to this podcast, you suck. But everyone else, I mean, I get stared at all the time. At the airport, I'm constantly stared at. And I'm like, why is everyone staring at me? It's like, oh, yeah, because you look like a complete outlandish god. So I'm used to it. Definitely used to it. I like knowing that when someone stares, they're trying to figure out what I do or who I am or what I could be. And that's what I love the most.
Well, we're going to get into your multifacetedness, or however you might want to say that. But let's talk a little bit about wrestling. I mean, Zicky, you are a professional wrestler, all right? And recently, you have made a big kind of splash in the world of pro wrestling by showing up on, NWA Power, which has been a huge success. Tell me a little bit about what that's been like as a performer, and then we'll get into some of these motherfuckers that are screwing with you.
Oh, man. It has been a very crazy journey, to say the least. I was just having a conversation with a friend today. My whole life has completely changed as I've known it in the last month. I can't even wrap my head around it, to be honest with you. A lot of people that ignored me in the past are reaching out to me. I've definitely turned a lot of heads, and it's really funny how life works out, because I've kind of been doing the same thing that I'm doing now for maybe about the last 2.5 years, when I first added Outlandish to Zicky Dice. And I was supposed to have a booking in Florida, and it fell through. So I reached out to Johnny Yuma over at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and I said, hey, I know you had asked me for this date. Do you still have room for me? He's like, yeah, come on down. So I went down to the show, and I had seen Lagana and Corgan there a year and a half before. I wrestled Tim Storm a few years back for the 10 pounds of gold on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You probably won't recognize me. I got a red beard and brown hair and a big old belly. So I had met them briefly once upon a time, and I had been working for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood for about 3 years now. And never once was I given a promo on stage, backstage, in the ring, nothing. Never complained about it either. That day I was there early, and I went out, and they're like, "Hey, Zicky, let's give you a promo." I said 6 words. I immediately was pulled back into a room where I met David Lagana and Billy Corgan, and Billy's like, "Wow, like look at your hair, and your earring, and your fanny pack." He's like, and I'm like wearing like a pink gym stringer. I'm just me, just hanging out. And he's like, "What are you doing December 14th?" And I sat there and I was like, "Oh man, me and my fiance just planned a snow trip." I was like, "Absolutely nothing. I'm completely free." He's like, "Well, how would you like to work for me in the NWA?" And I said, "I would love that." He's like, "Okay, Lagana will reach out to you on Monday." I had no idea what I was going to be doing in the NWA or what the plan was. And I knew I was going to show up and be me and do what I've been preparing for. And if you've been watching the show, I think I've done a pretty damn good job. And there's more to come. And now I'm head-to-head Ricky Starks for the NWA World Television Champion.
Shit. Good. Yeah, that Ricky Starks guy. I mean, I have a lot of bad things to say about him on your behalf. You don't have to say them if you don't want to. I'll say them for you. I mean, this guy, he thinks he's outlandish. That's the thing. That's the problem with him, is that he thinks he's outlandish, but he doesn't even know what that is. And
you're gonna find out the hard way.
He is. That's right. And one of the things that happened, of course, NWA had a pay-per-view a while back called Into the Fire, and then now they've had their second pay-per-view, which is called Hard Times, which is hilarious, saying that's NWA's second pay-per-view. It really isn't, but it's their second one in this new kind of form that they're in. And at Hard Times, you were forced to face a man who doesn't even work for NWA. What happened here? What's going on?
They brought in Doug Mast from wherever company he comes from. He should just mind his own business. He was a freak, and the odds were against me. And not to mention, I had to win 2 matches to earn a spot in this tournament. All right, and from NWA talent, who I dominated, and then they put me against this freak. Oh, don't even get me started. Rough night, all right? Rough night.
Yeah. I've never heard of Doug Mast, but I have heard of Dan Maff, and I thought that was the guy that you faced. But it sounds like this Doug Mast guy is even worse, He's probably even bigger of a freak. He's probably Dan's brother, and they hired him to come in and put a hit on you pretty much. I mean,
what a shame.
Who do you think is behind all this? Is this Dave Lagano getting
Not to mention 2 days before the pay-per-view, I was in a car accident. Someone rear-ended me while I was completely stopped, which I'm pretty Starks. I don't know. Someone's behind it. Someone's trying to take me out, and I still had to go and wrestle that train wreck.
That's not even fair. And it's clear there's a conspiracy against you. And I think that a big problem with, some of these old-timey type places like NWA is that they see someone like you that's outlandish, and you get all these looks. People want to see you. They want to be you. They want to hang out with you and all that stuff. And they're just jealous as an organization, and they're afraid that they may try to be a little outlandish. And if that's the case, they're just going to look like fools while they try to do that, because that's only you, right?
Well, you know what? They have the hottest star in professional wrestling today right there under their nose. And if they don't want to ignore that, they're going to find out the hard way, just like everybody else. I see people saying, "Oh, get rid of Zicky. Oh, he's too outlandish." Oh, man. Well, guess what? Zicky Dice is here to stay. And who knows what happens when, because when I will be winning the NWA Television Championship, who knows what I'll do with it? Maybe I'll retire. Maybe I don't know, maybe I'll open up a nightclub where there's flamingo servers. I don't know what I'll do yet, but I'm going to do something. And because my legacy is not yet done, and we've only just begun.
Well, I'm interested too. You have this amazing fanny pack that costs, I believe, $16,000 is what I heard.
That's right.
And my question to you is when you do, get the TV championship, do you think that you could get a fanny pack that could fit the title in it? And in that way, you have this ridiculously expensive and outlandish, a title, as well as this ridiculous and outlandish fanny pack. What do you think?
That's a pretty damn good idea. That might be the best thing I've heard all day. Or because originally I was thinking maybe adding zippers on it, or
Okay.
just sticking glue and then throwing pink glitter on it too. Who knows what I'll do? Who knows?
Pink's kind of your color.
Maybe I'll put a hoop in it and wear it as my new earring.
Oh my God! If you can accomplish that feat, wow, that would be.
Don't call me Outlandish Zicky Dice for nothing, baby.
Jesus Christ! So, wow, yeah, you just my mind went blank after that because I can't stop thinking about you trying to walk around with the hoop through your ear and the belt off of it. That would be awesome.
If that's the only thing you picture me doing today, I think we're in good shape.
Well, I was just going to say, pink is kind of your color. And, what my question about that color is that, it's one of those colors that seems to get a reaction out of people. People don't like pink for some reason. Why is that?
You know what? I think it's people are uncomfortable a lot of the times. I love pink. Pink is my color. Give me pink everything, anything and everything. My pink suitcase just finally gave out on me, and the guy felt so bad at the suitcase repair shop that he couldn't fix it. So he gave me this gray suitcase, and I was literally devastated. It's way nicer than my pink one, to be honest, but I was devastated. I don't know why people, but you know what? It gets attention, and Zicky just loves attention.
Hey man, that's what it's all about. Now, not only are you a professional wrestler, but you are also a singer in a band. And your band's called Heart to Heart, and you guys have kind of a fairly new single called Insufferable. Tell me, what is your role in Heart to Heart, and tell me a little bit about that and how folks can listen to that.
Sure. I sing in Heart to Heart. We've been around since 2009. 2015, we took a break so I could start training, become a professional wrestler. And we now have a new record coming out on Valentine's Day, 2020, on In Vogue Records called Heartbreaker. So Heart to Heart's Heartbreaker out Valentine's Day. I mean, it doesn't get more cliche than that. We're releasing a new single this Friday off that record called Someone Else. So you'll have Insufferable and Someone Else to listen to until the record comes out. But I don't know. This record there's something for everyone on it. I feel like each song is different from each other. And I can't wait to see what everyone thinks about it. It's funny because the band's been around for a while and they're like, oh, he's a wrestler. And then the wrestling world's like, oh, he's in a band. Yeah, we did a lot of cool tours. We were on Warped Tour. We've been out with Story So Far, Stick to Your Guns, Comeback Kid, just to name a few. We did the damn thing. So I'm excited for the future either way.
Well, when you were, first starting this band, you're the singer. Have you ever do you play guitar at all, or are you just straight up sing stuff?
I played guitar and some bass here and there, but then my last band, we couldn't find someone to be a front man, so I took that role. And then the same thing happened when we started Heart to Heart. I actually started Heart to Heart to play an instrument in a band instead of fronting a band, and we couldn't find it. And as you can tell from Outlandish Zicky Dice, I'm a one-of-a-kind performer. So I took the role on, and I was like, well, not going to find anyone better than me, so I might as well do it.
Well, that's how it always works with bands, right? It's always
you're looking for a specific mold, or you want him to rock out a certain way or sing a certain, and it's well, shit, if I'll do it.
Yeah. It either works or it doesn't with new people when you bring them in. Now, what kind of guitar do you have? And tell me a little bit about your guitar playing and stuff like that. I've been playing for my whole life.
Nice. I got a Fender Strat. I just had to sell my acoustic. I'm in the market for a new acoustic guitar as we speak. As moving and being a musician on the grind, I've had a lot of gear come and go, sadly. I had to get rid of a bass, my Ernie Ball Music Man, which was my dream bass. I had to get rid of. I was so sad. That's my biggest regret was selling that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so beautiful, and I sold it when you're in a pinch and you gotta sell. Oh god, I don't even want to talk about it. I feel sick.
It's awful. We can move on from that, but
my dream bass. That's my dream bass right there, and I will. My goal is to have a whole setup in the room of my house. Mesa half stack, Ampeg 8x10.
Nice. Get
that bass back. Get a nice line of guitars, bunch of different heads, and nice drum set. I don't know what kind yet. I'm still undecided.
Okay.
Oh, pink everything.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
And have a nice jam room where like people can just, the boys can come over and jam.
Well, the drum set, it can be pink, but it has to be that like kind of like glitter pink, like the old Slinger sets,
100%.
That's what you got to do there. Now, I'm looking at my Warwick bass right now, and I will hug it for you later. Just because I can't. I have unfortunately had to sell gear back in the day, and I can't tell those stories without crying. But what was the best guitar you ever had, and why? Why was it awesome?
Oh man, my Gibson Les Paul. I saved up like I was like 16, then 15. I was selling lollipops at the school and candy in the school on the side, and like working a part-time job. And it was like my first super nice guitar, and I saved up for it, bought it myself. At band practice, did a guitar throw, and what happened, baby? The strap fell off, and that guitar went flying, dude. I did like $600 worth of damage. The thing, it was so fucked.
Yeah, I have
some bad luck, man.
I have a Paul Reed Smith, and I broke the headstock off once from the strap broke and it hit a concrete floor. It's been repaired. It's never been the same since though, and I'm just I kind of just leave it in the case and pretend like it doesn't exist because I don't want to cry every day. But I also have a Strat. I got one of these 50th anniversary Strats that are pretty nice, and gotta have the maple fretboard with the Strat, some tobacco burst or whatever you call it. It's nice, but I need a little pink on there. I'm thinking, maybe I need to get like
everyone needs a little pink, baby.
Fair enough. I'm thinking maybe I could figure out a way to just a pink strap. Maybe that's the way to do it. Right now I have a Lion of Judah strap. What do you think? Would I get a pink strap, or should I maybe just paint my whole guitar pink? What do you think?
I think you should just put my face on it, and then you'll be able to maybe go somewhere with the music career.
Fair enough. And immediately be signed by In Vogue Records, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's outstanding. Okay, now I am in the Midwest area, and you are in California right now because, of course, you are. Where else would you be?
Yes.
And it's been, according to the internet, which you can never trust these things, so I got to go to the source. It's been quite a long time since you've been to our area, if you've been to our area at all. The only match I could find that you had in this area was versus some guy I've never heard of at IWA Mid-South in 2016. Is that real?
That match exists?
Yeah, is that real? I mean, like,
what? Wow, yep. That's real. That's the one time I worked at IWA Mid-South. Wow. That's funny. That's, like that day that I worked there, Ian had raised his hand. He's like, "Oh, who's new here?" I raised my hand. He's like, "Did you get your envelope yet?" And I was all, "No." He's all, "You sure did." He's all, "It was working here. Go put it on your resume and make more money somewhere else." What a complete crock of shit that was.
Yeah, that's.
I haven't been back. No. The Midwest. I did train in at the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy out in Davenport, Iowa. And I spent some time there before moving to Chicago. So I used to I wrestled IWA, been down to Florida a few times there. CWF Mid-Atlantic, I wrestled once. It's been a little while, but I would love to come back out there. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I like to be everywhere. So the best thing I could say is just keep following the journey.
Well, what I'm hoping is one of these days, next time you got to come down to Atlanta for a taping, you could fly down to Atlanta and then rent a car and drive across the country because you got bookings every day until you get home. You know what I mean? That would be outstanding, and that'd be a really cost-effective way to get you out here. So if your promoters out there listening, get with some other promoters, and maybe we can figure out a way to get Zicky Dice out here. Now,
everyone needs Zicky Dice. I'm hot, baby. Zicky Dice is hot right now. Don't be sleeping on him.
Now, did you train with Sage Kanan and Manders and some of those guys out there at the Black and Brave, or was that before that?
I was in the third class there after my time. I was there. I think Manders came in right as I was leaving and moving back to California. But I keep in touch with Black and Brave graduates, we've got a nice ring of them. There's some good talent coming out of there. We got Dion Roosman, Joesa, Alex Dunnigan, a Connor Braxton, Jossie, Travis Titan, Steve Manders. Man, the list goes on.
It's a lot of folks, and whenever we see a new person in this area and we know that's where they came from, we always, kind of keep an eye on that person because they're usually going to do pretty well. But you also trained at the New Japan dojo, right? Tell me a little bit about that and what it was like meeting Shibata.
Yeah, I did. I went there twice. I spent 2 weeks there. It was like you get a tryout as well. First time I was there, spent some time with Shibata and Okada, which was pretty intense. There's no music; it's completely quiet, and you're doing hellish workouts for 8 hours a day, and it's insane. It was a great experience, though. I did learn a lot, and yeah, I saw some great talent come out of there. Carl Fredericks, Alex, all the young lion guys right now are absolutely killing it, and it's really cool to see Clark Connors and my boy Gabe. It's super rad to see like my friends doing cool shit as well. So
you also met a young Lord Crew out there, I think, doing that, and
that's one of my best homies.
He told me a story about Shibata and this tire. Do you know anything about this? Could you tell the story about the tire?
So at the end of like the first break, or before you get like the first break, you're doing this hellish workouts. Like you're doing 500 squats, lion push-ups, a bunch of stuff where you're throwing up. People are crying, laying on the floor. And at the end of it all, I'm dead serious. And Shibata's walking around with a kendo stick, slapping it in front of you, and it's like it's intimidating shit. But they bust out a tire. We call it Tire Sun, and like you lay your back on the tire and you take a second to like stretch each other out. It's actually really nice. You gotta have 3 dudes to make it happen, but it can be done.
Yeah, apparently the tire was super over, is what I heard. Everyone loved the tire, so that was the one moment you weren't getting the shit. Yeah, exactly, because you were the one moment you weren't getting the shit kicked out of you as well. So, that's pretty impressive, though, man. I would die if I had to try to do any of that stuff. I'd be the one crying in the corner. I'd be throwing up and crying, and then maybe pooping a little too. I'm not sure.
I was like crying in my head. Like it was definitely super, super hard, and I was very frustrated. And like after I couldn't literally walk for dinner, and you had to go back, it was, dude. And I'm telling you, it was intense. It was intense.
Now, that's a bunch of the championship wrestling from Hollywood guys have kind of bled over a little bit into that New Japan dojo, so I've heard, and a lot of the stuff that's going on in NWA. Are you familiar with a guy named Jordan Clearwater?
I am. I met him through Lord Crew. I heard that he was from out there. I actually wrestled him at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood not too long ago.
How'd that go for you?
Well, I whooped his ass, I think.
Yeah, you did. Awesome. Well, now we have something in common because I've also defeated Jordan Clearwater. My only match, I defeated him. So I'm 1-0, and I'll be 1-0 forever. Unless he moves back out here, I'm willing to give him a rematch, but only him, nobody else. So, that's just got to protect that pin.
He's got that clause.
Now,
redemption.
So you just came out with a new T-shirt, right? And folks can get that on zickydice.bigcartel.com. Do you have a pro wrestling tees site or anything? Or
it's not updated. I recommend I recommend you go to zickydice.com as well. There's some other merchandise on there. I should the Big Cartel is kind of like what I run on my own. Yeah, I got a new shirt design, Zicky Dice King of Snakes on the Big Cartel. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out on my Instagram and all social media, which is at Zicky Dice. Nice and simple. But yeah, I got a lot of cool shit coming out, man. So keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be quite the journey, to say the least.
When can folks buy a Zicky Dice fanny pack?
Oh, baby. If I told you I put in the order today, would you believe me? Because I did. We've been waiting on those. We've had them designed, ready to go in December. We were just waiting on the right time to pull the trigger, and I think today is the right time to pull the trigger.
No kidding. That's awesome, man. I was watching the NWA from Tuesday, which today is Wednesday. This will be out on Wednesday as well. And I was just, dreaming about what your fanny pack would look like as a piece of merchandise to buy, because that seems like a pretty obvious thing to lean into there. How's that all been as far as the NWA stuff? I mean, is your phone just exploding at all times now, or is it calmed down a little bit since it all started? I mean, how's that all been?
I'm trying to keep up as I talk with you. To be honest, it is literally, and I'm not even kidding you. It's nonstop. Between emails, random phone calls I've been getting from people that have had my number for years and we toured with the other day. Some guy was like, "Hey, I toured with your band 5 years ago. Do you remember me?" I was like, getting on my flight, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I just watch wrestling. It's super cool." I was like, "Dude, I gotta go." Like I'm getting on the plane. I try and interact with everybody. I literally want to meet everybody. That's why I got into this business, was to impact and change lives by sharing my story. So if I can do that, by all means. Also, at the same time, you know, just different opportunities popping up. You name it. It's insane. Followers are coming in, tweets are coming in, comments, you name it. It's nonstop right now.
Well, we know about the new single coming out on Friday. Is there anything else? I mean, and we obviously know you're gonna, beat this guy on NWA that thinks he's outlandish, and you're gonna beat him and take his title because that's your title, not his. And but what else do you have coming up? Anything else we can talk about here?
All I can say is watch NWA Power on Tuesdays at 6:05 Eastern Time. If you can do Zicky Dice a favor and hit that subscribe button on the top of the page, we're trying to build subscribers, and it's a great show. If you haven't checked it out yet, by all means, let me entertain you every week.
That's kind of the key to this all, is that NWA, one thing I love about it is it doesn't take itself too seriously. Folks like you are on there cutting up right and left, and it is highly entertaining. And that's been one of the things I've really liked about it, because pro wrestling has that kind of problem sometimes where it takes itself a little too seriously, and people get angry over dumb stuff, and I'm even guilty of that as well. But I'm glad that NWA doesn't do that, and hopefully you'll get revenge on this Dan Greg Mast guy, or whatever his name is. I mean, he, who knows, he may show up again. They may be pulling in people that don't even work there, stacking them up against you. But no matter what odds they stack against Zicky Dice, they'll never be outlandish. So where can folks find you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Zicky Dice always has tricks under his sleeve. That's why the world needs to follow my outlandish journey. I made it nice and simple. @ ZickYDice @ Zicky Dice on every piece of social media. When I tell you shit's about to get crazy, it's about to get crazy. So you might want to go and just follow the journey now. And you know what? When I start taking over the world more and more, we can do this again, and we can talk about it and be like, "Hey, I told you so."
I can't wait, man. The past several people I've had on have then all of a sudden been on the Steve Austin show. So I'm just saying this is, for some reason, this is just like a quick road right to the Steve Austin podcast. So I'm assuming that's where I'll see you next. And I really appreciate you coming on, folks. You can follow our show at the Road Home FW. You can follow me at Drusa for tweets. Hey, and you can follow Lord Crew at Lord Crew Kills on Twitter as well. That guy's awesome, and I'm glad.
I invited him to my wedding. I guess he's got to be all right. I mean, I sold him a ticket, $95.
Oh, wow. That's a hell of a deal, man.
Right? I give him half off.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Have a great time out there, and we'll see you on NWA, okay?
Thanks for having me, baby. We'll do it again.